low pay, high stress, and a 100% chance of ingesting poison. Welcome to life as a royal food taster in ancient Rome, where job security meant surviving dinner. It's 64 AD, and Servius Imperia is Rome's newest imperial pregustator. He's not exactly thrilled about his career prospects. After all, he didn't wake up one morning thinking, "You know what would be great? Using my tongue as Emperor Nero's personal poison detection system." No, Servius earned this prestigious position the old-fashioned Roman way. He was a slave who happened to have unusually sensitive taste buds. And just like that, congratulations on your promotion. You now get to eat potentially deadly food before your emperor does. Let's start with the basics. As a royal food taster in Nero's palace, Servius's daily duties involved sampling every single morsel intended for the imperial mouth. Every slice of peacock tongue, every spoonful of dormice rolled in honey, every cup of wine. All had to pass through Servius first. "It's actually quite simple," Servius explains to a fellow slave. "If I die writhing in agony with foam bubbling from my lips, then the emperor knows not to eat that particular dish." Very efficient system. Of course, the Romans weren't stupid. They developed actual techniques for poison detection. Servius was trained to detect unusual tastes, odd textures, or suspicious smells. Silver platters that tarnished when touched by certain poisons were sometimes used. Some emperors even kept poison-detecting implements like special cups or rings that supposedly changed color when they contacted toxic substances. But none of these methods was foolproof, and many poisons were tasteless and odorless. So ultimately, Servius's primary detection method was eat the food, wait a bit, and see if he died. "The waiting period is the worst," Servius confides. "Emperor Nero gets very impatient if I take too long to confirm I'm not dead." "Still breathing, Servius? Wonderful, now pass me that fig before it gets cold." Cold figs, as if that's the real problem here. One particularly stressful day, Servius finds himself staring down at a dish of unusually bitter-tasting mushrooms. He hesitates, knowing that the Amanita phalloides deathcap mushroom was a favorite assassination tool. The symptoms take hours to appear, by which time the emperor would have consumed them if deemed safe. "These mushrooms taste concerning," Servius announces nervously. "Concerning? What does concerning mean?" demands Claudia Magna, the stern head of imperial kitchens. "It means I don't want to be responsible for the emperor's death, but I also don't want to reject perfectly good mushrooms and get flogged for paranoia," Servius replies. "It's a delicate balance." Claudia rolls her eyes. "Just eat more of it. If you're still standing in an hour, it's probably fine." That was another downside of being a pregustator: portion sizes. To properly test for poison, Servius couldn't just take a tiny nibble. He had to consume enough to trigger a reaction if poison was present, meaning he effectively got a full imperial meal before the emperor did. "I've gained 15 pounds since starting this job," Servius complains to another slave. "I'm the only person in Rome who dreads feasts. 6 courses means 6 opportunities to die, or worse, survive and have to taste 6 more courses tomorrow." Beyond the constant fear of death, being a food taster came with other occupational hazards. Emperors were notoriously paranoid, and with good reason, many met their ends through poisoning. This meant that even the slightest stomach discomfort after a meal could cast suspicion on the food taster. One afternoon, Servius makes the mistake of having a perfectly natural digestive response after sampling a particularly rich eel dish prepared in garum, fermented fish sauce. "Why are you clutching your stomach?" Nero inquires, eyes narrowing. "Is there something wrong with my eel?" "No, divine emperor," Servius replies hastily. "My stomach is simply acknowledging your greatness with interpretive dance." The emperor doesn't laugh. No one laughs at the emperor's food taster making jokes about poison. Servius spent much of his time in a state of anticipatory dread, but poison wasn't the only concern. Historical records confirm that food tasters also had to be aware of food temperature, ensuring nothing was too hot for imperial mouths. This meant Servius frequently burned his tongue on scalding dishes. Also, Emperor Nero wouldn't suffer the indignity of a minor mouth blister. You haven't lived until you've had third-degree burns from testing Emperor Nero's mulsum, Servius tells a kitchen servant, referring to the popular Roman honey wine that was typically served hot. My taste buds have basically been replaced by scar tissue at this point. Then there were the social aspects of the job. As a slave with an unusually intimate connection to the emperor's well-being, Servius occupied an awkward position in the social hierarchy. Too important to be treated like other slaves, yet still fundamentally property. He was trusted with the emperor's life but not trusted enough to be free. During one particularly tense banquet, a visiting dignitary from Gaul attempts to make conversation with Servius. So, you taste everything before the emperor? What an honor! Servius forces a smile. Yes, it's quite the privilege to have my life threatened 3 to 5 times daily. But surely you're well compensated? The Gaul persists. Oh, absolutely. I receive the generous compensation of continued breathing. On good days, I also get to keep all my limbs. Food tasters did occasionally receive gifts from grateful emperors who recognized their service. Historical records mention tasters being given money, small properties, or special privileges. But these perks came with the significant downside of being known as the person who knew exactly what the emperor was eating. This made food tasters targets themselves, as assassins might try to eliminate them first to clear the way for a poisoning attempt. Someone tried to bribe me last week, Servius tells Claudia while she prepares the day's menu. Offered me enough gold to buy my freedom if I'd just look the other way during the next feast. What did you do? Claudia asks, glancing nervously at the guards nearby. Reported him immediately. I've tasted enough bitter almonds in my day to know what cyanide does to a man. No amount of gold is worth that. Claudia nods approvingly. Smart. Besides, you'd never make it out of Rome alive. Exactly my thinking. I'd rather be a living food taster than a dead freedman. The job did have one unexpected benefit. Servius developed an unusually sophisticated palate. After months of sampling the empire's finest cuisine, he could detect subtle flavor notes that even accomplished chefs missed. This occasionally led to awkward situations when he inadvertently insulted the imperial cooks. This garum is from last month's batch, not fresh, he once remarked casually, only to find the head chef glaring daggers at him. I mean, it's delicious, he backpedaled quickly. Just historically interesting. By the time Nero's reign was coming to its dramatic conclusion in 68 AD, Servius had survived 4 years as an imperial pregustator, an impressive achievement in a job with an admittedly high turnover rate. As Rome descended into civil war following Nero's suicide, Servius found himself in an unusual position. His specialized skills, a heightened sense of taste, and an intimate knowledge of poison symptoms weren't particularly transferable to other careers. Yet, as various military leaders vied for the throne, experienced food tasters suddenly found themselves in high demand. It's the strangest thing, Servius confides to his friend. For years of expecting to die at any meal, and now I'm being fought over like a prized racehorse. Apparently, my ability to not die from poisoned mushrooms is quite the resume builder. Indeed, historical records show that skilled pregustators often served multiple emperors, their expertise too valuable to waste. Some even earned their freedom after years of loyal service, assuming, of course, they survived long enough. On his last day in Nero's service, as the emperor prepares for his final act, Servius is called to taste one last meal. Is it poisoned? Nero asks, almost hopefully, as rebellion closes in around him. Servius tastes the wine carefully. No, Emperor. It's perfectly safe. Nero laughs bitterly. How ironic. After all these years of fearing poison, it's the swords of my own people I should have feared. As Servius is dismissed, he reflects on the strange path his life has taken. You know, most jobs you worry about being fired, he mutters to himself as he leaves the imperial chambers for the last time. This is the only position where fired is the best possible outcome you can hope for. In the aftermath of Nero's fall, as Rome adjusts to yet another new emperor, Servius finds himself summoned to the palace once again. Standing before Emperor Galba's representative, he is offered his old position back. Your expertise is highly valued, the official says. Emperor Galba recognizes your loyal service. Servius considers the offer carefully. 4 years of tasting potentially poisoned food. 4 years of being the human equivalent of a canary in a coal mine. For years of stomach pains, anxiety, and watching his life flash before his eyes with every unusual aftertaste. I'm deeply honored, Servius replies with practiced diplomacy. But I've decided to pursue other opportunities. Perhaps something in the culinary arts that doesn't involve me being the last line of defense between an emperor and assassination. And so ended the career of one of Rome's most successful food tasters, not with poison-induced convulsions, but with the one thing even rarer than surviving as a pregustator, a voluntary resignation, as Servius later told anyone who would listen at the local taberna. The problem with being a royal food taster is that you can either be bad at your job exactly once, or good at it forever, and trust me, forever is a very, very long time to wait for lunch.